Hey crypto traders, checking in on the space. We went very swiftly from a lot of fear as we are at our lows, and now a lot of that short-term fear is alleviated, and everybody's wondering, are our weekly higher lows being set? It's entirely possible. I'll show you what time frames I need trend changes for the bulls to prove it to me, and where I'm looking for an entry. So we'll start it off with the S&P 500, which is seeing a significant bull move. You can point to the stimulus being passed after hours on Friday as far as the reason for the bullish reaction today. Whatever the reason, we know it is a very significant bounce, and what has stood out is our major sectors are all at the high of the day at the same time. I should say they were all at the high of the day at the same time this morning, showing confidence and follow through. It's keeping the weekly consolidation of the S&P 500 very healthy still at this point, and it's alleviating a lot of the short-term fear that we had last Friday to end this previous week. Bitcoin bulls benefiting from that as well. Big green candle on the daily, bounce underway. Anything under 52,100 is just a daily lower high. We know we're scouting a weekly higher low to be set, and we need a daily trend change back to the bulls for that weekly higher low to be confidently set. The setup over the weekend, we had an hourly or a 4-hour falling wedge. I was watching it on the 2-hour time frame for a while, and then it just became more clear to me on the 4-hour chart, but we ended up breaking bullish. And again, when you break bearish with a lack of follow through, that means keep an eye out for a falling wedge. We broke support and we saw follow through of $700, so less than 2%. We then broke support, saw a little bit more follow through, but less than 3%. And then we saw that complete shift in momentum back to the bulls and a very significant bounce. Aggressive bulls were making entries on the bear breaks with a lack of follow through. If you were watching, every time we broke bearish, it seemed like a bot switched on. And I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case, but every time we broke to a lower low, just a solid 5-minute bounce and just consistent buying at the ask in small increments. And that happened multiple times. And again, it looked very clearly to me like there were bots set to buy bear breaks. So with that, I had a trade entry attempt over the weekend. And it was on Saturday, and I knew I wasn't going to be at the computer a lot. So I knew I couldn't just patiently wait. I had to do something or do nothing. And I had been trading really well in the volatility during this consolidation. I was all cash, accounted all-time high. So I said, all right, I'm going to enter a little bit of a risk here. And we had a nice little 2-minute equilibrium. And I was watching that 4-hour downtrend resistance. I said, okay, well, if we break bullish, I want to position, but I'm not going to be here. And I'm not just going to set a buy order while I'm not at the computer. So I bought while we were still in a tightening range, small positions, and then ended up stopping out when we did drop down and see further weakness from there. So definitely more difficult for me trading this past weekend, knowing I wasn't going to be at the computer. So big time shout out to all of you that have full-time jobs and families, because it definitely makes it harder to establish trade game plans because your window of opportunity to act on them is more limited. So that means I didn't enjoy any of this bull move up aside from my long-term no-touch positions, which definitely enjoyed that bull move up. But what does that mean? That means I am going to enter on consolidation. Anything above $43,000 is a 4-hour higher low. There's a ton of space for bulls to form that 4-hour higher low. We could also be watching it from the 12-hour perspective. The 12-hour time frame, we broke the lower high resistance in the 48s, the mid 48s, and again, we now need a 12-hour higher low to form and a confirmed 12-hour trend change for the bulls to be regaining control one time frame at a time. But I am going to be looking at the 4-hour chart. I'm going to be looking at an initial entry on the back test of these exponential moving averages. Maybe I'll enter another one if we were to keep pulling back, but essentially establishing a swing position based off of the low at this point to give myself exposure if that is our weekly higher low being set. And looking at it on the log perspective, that weekly consolidation is still keeping things very healthy at this point. The dominance chart is still giving us no information. It's trading sideways. So again, if we want to see how coins are trading, we can't use broader terms. We have to look at each coin individually. Some are stronger than Bitcoin, some are weaker. ETH was an example of a lower high every single day for 8 days in a row. And we broke that pattern with this significant move up. We had a bit more beat up RSI. The daily RSI was closer to oversold, and we ended up with the same 4-hour falling wedge pattern that ended up breaking bullish. And again, just bear breaks without a whole lot of follow through. You could have been watching this resistance line, or you could have been drawing it from up at the highs. Either way, it broke bullish. Same thing, 4-hour time frame, massive bounce, tons of space for a 4-hour high or low. Aggressive bulls are going to be looking to enter off EMA support in case it's a potential bull flag. More patient bulls are going to be waiting down into the mid 1400s, mid to low 1400s for that higher low to be established. 12-hour time frame on Ethereum, a little bit of a different look. That resistance was 1564, and we double topped at that level. So again, 12-hour trend change needed for these bulls to see significant follow through, but for now I'm watching the 4-hour in the short term. ETH BTC is still very weak. We are in a clear daily downtrend and a clear 4-hour uptrend. So we're watching this little 4-hour higher low of 3093. If we lose the 4-hour higher lows, daily bear flag is absolutely a possibility. Bulls would have to keep those 4-hour higher lows and see more follow through, ideally over 3356 if we were going to be looking to negate the potential daily bear flag. But have to call it like it is. Right now, the Bitcoin pairing is keeping ETH weaker than Bitcoin. There are names out there that are stronger than Bitcoin. ADA BTC chart exploding to higher highs. It's consolidating right now, looking for a daily higher low. But again, that bull break over these past few days and over the weekend definitely helped the ADA bulls stay in control and head to a new all-time high. We broke 120. We got 15% plus of follow through. And we're still in a daily uptrend. And the most important factor on this chart is that the Bitcoin pairing continues to stay strong and in an uptrend, because it is so much more favorable for the US dollar pairings when that is happening. And it's happening for ADA. Just looking for daily higher lows on both the US dollar and Bitcoin pairings. Binance also still has a fairly favorable Bitcoin pairing. Higher low on the daily, lower high, another higher low, but still seeing resistance. If the bulls can get over 5.5, which is where we rejected, this chart is going to stay very bullish, and we're going to be looking for the US dollar pairing, or the tether pairing, to make its way back up to 281 and then towards the all-time high if these daily higher lows on the Bitcoin pairing chart continue to keep in control and continue to bounce off the EMA 12 as they have the last 4 times it has been tested. Now some examples of some weaker names again. Link. So Link has a little bit of resistance just in the, mid 27s. So the Bitcoin pairing, weak. Sideways the last 6 trading days, bulls proving nothing, and that's why our bounce significant as well. Looking for a 4-hour higher low, absolutely, but not standing out compared to Bitcoin. As long as that Bitcoin pairing is sideways, that will remain the case. Clear lower highs on every bounce. That has to change for, again, the spotlight. For the spotlight to enter an altcoin and to get attention and to get Twitter hype and to get volume, and traders have to see the Bitcoin pairing correlate with the US dollar pairing bullish. Litecoin is not strong at all. Anything under 205.20, just a lower high. And the Bitcoin pairing down at the lows, multiple month lows. Bears in complete control of every time frame of this pairing. And again, that is the last thing you want to see if you are a bull, because that constantly just tells you should have been in Bitcoin instead of Litecoin. Should have been in Bitcoin instead of Litecoin. Should have been in Bitcoin instead of Litecoin. Every leg down, that's what the chart is just telling you right to your face. So keep an eye on those Bitcoin correlations as we see a altcoin pickers market, in the sense that, again, some names, not many, are standing out stronger than Bitcoin, and a handful of names standing out weaker. And from here, the question into tomorrow is, can the bulls see healthy 4-hour consolidation, establish higher lows, and then try and confirm 4-hour trend changes to see further bounce follow through? Because we know the further we bounce on the daily time frame, the higher the probability that the bulls will be able to change the daily trend back in their favor and set the weekly higher low. Keep an eye on the broader market. Keep an eye on the dollar. The dollar is attempting a weekly trend change for the first time in many months. That would be notable. We know these names, all of our assets essentially want to see a weaker dollar as far as the trading environment. It hasn't had a huge impact in the short term, but if we confirm a weekly trend change bullish for the first time since the COVID lows, and we didn't even really confirm a weekly trend change, but that's where all the massive volatility was. Again, it will be notable, and we'll have to keep an eye on things. Seeing some weakness in our commodities, weakness in the metals. Oil is pulling back pretty notably the past couple of days. And again, just constantly watching how everything is interacting with each other in this current market environment. 4 hour higher low watch in the short term. Have a good rest of your day. Do good things, and we will see you next time. Been placing seeds along this fence to get the turkeys to tear up all the weeds that are going to be growing along this fence line. Trying to do two things at once.